Peace, this is Tareck Adeeb. It's time to go with the flow, and I'm bringing you a short synopsis of the astrology for the week ahead. And I am in a hotel room right now. Well, let's just hope that the internet connection is good. Right. Okay. So, yes, I'm in a hotel room right now. I've just actually been to Arizona. Went to a party at the weekend, which was awesome. And very blessed to go. Hopefully we're going to be able to do this live. Otherwise I might have to do it tomorrow if the internet is bad. But let's just hope that I can do this live to you all. Excuse me. So went down to Arizona at the weekend. It was really, really awesome. And just on my way back home right now. Just in New Mexico at the moment. Pretty cool. So, intense times. And last week I spoke a lot about the whole crisis right now, and again I don't really want to be talking too much about it because there's a lot of lies and propaganda, and that's the sad thing with war. There's a lot of deception, there's a lot of that's a shame. I wonder if right, let me just okay, if it's a poor connection I'm going to have to probably do this live tomorrow, I'm afraid, everyone. Thanks for tuning in, who's here. But yeah, let's just see how it goes. But yeah, sadly there's a lot of lies, propaganda. It's a dirty business, is war. And, with the Scorpio stuff, I find it fascinating because what's happening right now is that there's a lot of reveal going on. There's a lot of, the Scorpio is the detective, the Scorpio energy. And we're so close to it, like next week. The big take for today's talk is that next week we really shift into Sagittarius. I mean, like I say, we do have Venus going into Scorpio next month, and that could be the great decider. A few clients I've spoken to recently, it's make or break, really, with that Venus in Scorpio, especially with relationship stuff. Got to remember, the relationship dynamic has been huge this year, especially with the South Node in Libra and then with the Venus retrograde. So when the Scorpio stuff comes in, Venus in Scorpio, it's very much a case of that's it, either all the way in or all the way out, Now, don't get me wrong, once we get past into the new year, then it's a little bit different because we've got past all of this Scorpio stuff. It really is over then, that's it. All that is hidden, that is revealed, or that is toxic, or that needs to be cleaned or cleared, will have happened, and it goes all the way back to 2012. It goes back further, really, with Pluto in Scorpio, and the Pluto and Scorpio generation. So it really is a big deal, like this ending of the Scorpio stuff, especially, like say, with Venus, it's going to be the final kind of like test. And you could always apply it with this too shall pass and just get through it, and see what happens next year, if you're still not sure about your relationship. But things will accelerate next year with Pluto into Aquarius. And like I say, transparency and change, i.e. extreme change, will just radically increase, because of the nature of Pluto into Aquarius. And we want to be prepared for that Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in April. The eclipse is in April. Everything is now in the short term is pivoting towards that. It's pivoting towards April. I mean, this year is almost over. And the good news about Sagittarius, what's coming now, is that, and this party I've just been to at the weekend, kind of like, is a sign of that. Like, it's time to have some fun, it's time to have some happiness, in the world. Now, again, I'll talk about war stuff in a minute, but, happiness, if you think about Thanksgiving, you think about Christmas, it's very much a Sagittarius thing. You see the trees go up, I don't know why that's happening, by the way, but saying a poor reception. Right, so it's just going to be a weird one. I might have to do this reading tomorrow, like I said. I'll keep going. I'll do the best that I can. So, like I say, even though it's festive and it's happy, and again, we need to celebrate this year. We need to sort of like have some fun, but with Christmas as well, especially with Venus going to be in Scorpio, it could also bring about a lot of enough's enough as well. So it's going to be a kind of quite an intense period as Christmas, I think, more so than Thanksgiving if you're in America. Because Thanksgiving is very Sagittarian. Even though the Scorpio stuff is there, it's on the Saturday that it shifts. So, you know, a lot of planets shift into Sagittarius. We've got we've got the sun obviously moving into Sagittarius on the 22nd. So that's going to be a nice reprieve. But there is squares going on. The sun's squaring Saturn. It's that Saturn you see in Pisces that could pop. Well, it could also bring a lot of magic as well. So I'm excited about what we're moving into the last part of the year. There's more magic. There's more excitement. There's more, again, travel. There's things like that. Dreams becoming reality, and maybe there's a reward, a gift, a present at the end of all of this. But still, we still have these Venus challenging aspects, like Venus opposing Chiron, for example. The sun squaring Saturn. It can create, again, pain in relationship, to be quite honest with you. And even Mars entering Sagittarius is all good, because that happens on the 24th. We've got Ceres going into Sagittarius as well. So again, we've got a lot of family stuff going on. But with Mars squaring Saturn, because every planet that comes into Sagittarius squares that Saturn in Pisces. And, the critical degrees of Scorpio is also intense. So we can't escape the times that we're in. I think by next weekend, after Thanksgiving, it should be more fun, more happy, even though, again, this bifurcation is playing out. You see, this is the problem. The people that are going up are getting more clarity, things are getting better. There's more fun, there's more happiness. It's coming real, my dream, let's say. And it's time to get excited, and it's time to really start pushing forward. But again, and this is why relationships are key, if somebody in the relationship is not doing that, then that's the problem. This bifurcation gets more accelerated, like that person is suddenly going more extreme in their thinking. For example, Sagittarius could be very religious as well, like extreme, the cult stuff. And again, religiosity, because it's a big feature right now. I mean, if you're looking at the world right now, I've got to just bring this up. We're seeing so much double standards. And we're seeing, again, the masters of war and the puppet masters being very exposed right now. You're seeing media propaganda. This is why it's so difficult to talk about these things. Because there's been so much, again, it's hard to know who's a good guy or a bad guy, who's the villain and who's not. The issue right now, let's say, for example, with Ukraine and, NATO, or if you want to call it Russia, really the reality is that they've lost. So how is it going to end? This is the problem, because, again, we've got to just keep patient here. Because really the big fear, obviously, was the fact that war would escalate. That was the terrifying thing. And during my mentorship, we were really looking at it. And Poland really was the big one in that war. If Poland had got involved, that would have brought in the rest of NATO legally, even though really it was a NATO fight anyway. But that would have brought in that, it would have escalated. That would have been terrifying. If you're talking about nukes, and the North Node is in Aries, so the energy of that is real. That's the problem right now. So now with this Israel-Palestine, and again, I'm not going to talk about it as much because there is so much sensitivity regarding to it. But what we're seeing with the masters of war and the puppet masters, and that's really who's behind all of this. Everyone is programmed to a certain extent to take a side. The problem right now is what's happening in the world is that the reveal has become so obvious that there's double standards. And again, this is different from, let's say, Jew, Muslim or Christian. This is to do with political Zionism, which is to do with apocalypse, end of the world. It's also to do with the industrial military complex. It's all to do with stuff like that. It's got nothing to do with Jews, Muslims or Christians. It's really got nothing to do with that at all. It's to do with power, control and money. That's actually what's behind it. Now, again, it's hard to talk about this stuff because, obviously people are dying and both sides are involved. The masters of war, they're all part of it. Hamas, Zionism, it's all part of the same cloth. The CIA created Hamas, the CIA created Hezbollah. So, this is just all, again, the masters of war at work. The problem is right now, when we look at the Ray Dalio stuff, is that really, Hamas has won. They've won the war. They've succeeded in showing that the Zionist government, the right-wingers of Israel right now, which isn't the Jews, it isn't the normal Israelis, it's not the people who want peace, It's the extremists who want ethnic cleansing, who want to completely eradicate. Now, at the end of the day, the Palestinians are no saints. I don't know enough about this to comment, but certainly, they're playing a game too. It's just the reality is that you can see both sides of the coin, and Hamas, having done what they've done, and however they've done it in a despicable way, has won the war because they've exposed the political Zionism, and now we're starting to see it in all aspects of the world. Because really, this is to do with the British Empire. It's not necessarily to do even with Israel. It's to do with the British Empire, and the British Empire, the tentacles connected to America, which is the American Empire. It seems like the British Empire, or let's say the ruling elites of the royal families, or the deep state, however you want to describe it, whatever it is, the invisible hand, whoever's behind all of this, the masters of war, the puppet masters, are on the way out. That's it. I mean, and this is why April is so important, because AGI, which is coming, is so significant. Like in April, you've got the eclipses, you've got AGI, which is ChatGPT 5, and you've also got the Bitcoin halving. So it's huge what's coming in April, and now until April is so key. But the reality is, with Israel stuff, the only way the masters of war can win the war is to go to war with Iran. So that is actually what it's all about now. It's really to do with Iran, and whether Israel's going to go to war with Iran, or whoever the Christian fundamentalists of America, because that's really what it comes down to, which goes back to the deep families, the blood elites of the royal families, whatever. I don't know. I don't know enough about this, to be honest. But that's what's going on right now. So Hezbollah and Hamas is not going to get wiped out, and the only way to allow it to happen is for the Zionist, which is connected to those ruling elites and the deep state, because the majority of people don't want it. That's what I would say. Even the majority of Jews don't want it. Oh, certainly anyone who's dying wants this to end. So now what we're dealing with from now until April is Iran, just like in Russia and Ukraine, it was Poland. So that's now what we've got to do as people of the light, of people of the path to peace, of people of wisdom, of discernment, who are going to thrive in this time, who are going to survive, who are not going to only survive, but going to thrive. We have to now start really praying for peace, that whatever happens right now, and however, again, none of these people are saints. We need to remember this, that it's the masters of war and it's the puppet masters, whether it's America, Iran, the people creating this divide and conquer, or wanting nukes to go off, or whatever, or Third World War. It's all to do with the masters of war and the puppet masters. The people with common sense, the people of peace, the people who want this to end, we've got to pray for peace. That's what I mean. Like whether we do light a candle and see things from the other person's point of view, or send a prayer for peace every day, and try to overcome our fear by doing exercise, or going for a salt bath, or whatever it may be. We just got to keep doing that consciously, because that's the key, is consciousness. We can change the outcome of these inevitabilities, of these changing times that we're in. If you look at the reality of what's happened over the last week, it's prolific. And that's what I mean, this Scorpio energy is really showing things. Scorpio is the detective. So, for example, you see newscasters right now who are clearly connected to, let's say, the Zionist agenda, for example. And they're saying it's okay, for, bombing a hospital or killing thousands of children. It's clearly not okay. Now, that does not obviously say that Hamas is obviously not the good guys. That's for sure. These are terrorist organisations that you'll kill and do. So yeah, obviously that's not good. It's just that they're defending their land. Oh dear. Let me see, with hotels. That's why it's been so hard, to do anything, of this year, because there's been so much flux. It's been really difficult. But we've got to get the message out there. That's the reason why I'm doing this, So like I was saying, Hamas is obviously not good guys. These are people who will kill, However, what you're seeing is this PTSD play out, because there's no way you can say it's okay just to go and kill thousands of kids. It's just so obvious, So the fact that those people, let's hope we can do this, because something's stopping the message from coming through, but there you go. But yeah, just to say this, it's like the masters of war, the puppet masters, they're the ones who should be held accountable, and everybody's part of it who's connected to it. So for example, those newscasters who literally will not hear the other side, the other person's perspective. They won't hear it. It's like, no, those crazy psychos, let's say terrorists, are out to kill us. They want the end of Israel, for example, which isn't the case. It's just there's double standards going on. When the deep state or whatever, or the people of power chose to take on Ukraine, take on Russia, which I'm not saying, again, this is why it's hard to talk about, because I'm not saying that Putin's a good guy. They're both good and bad, all of these people, they're the masters of war, the puppet masters. However, self-defense is sovereignty, that's the point. And if you've got to defend your people, that's what it's all about. So obviously Netanyahu's trying to defend his people, but he's the one at the fault here. He's the one who's not defended his people. And then what he's doing is he's been exposed. That's what Hamas is doing. They're exposing him for his agenda and those right-wingers in power. So they've played a very clever game, and then what's happening is that, the rest of the world are going, hang on, this isn't right. And then you've got China, and then you've also got Russia, capitalizing on it. And what's happening now is that the Arab countries are going, well, I'll tell you what, fuck this. And that's a real problem for Israel. It's a real problem for America, and obviously England, because it's only England, America, and Israel that are thinking that this is okay. Really, the Israeli army should be going in far more sophisticated. I mean, they've got a sophisticated army. You can't just blow up hospitals. Doesn't matter if it's human shields or, how they're doing it. They're exposing themselves for what their ideology is, or they're not abiding by the law, the rules of war. So they've lost the war. Hamas is underground. They've already worked it out. They knew that there was going to be no two-state solution. So they went in somehow. If it's true, if they managed to do it, they've gone in and done that, and and they've shown the evil of that right-wing government, really. And obviously Hamas is evil. They're all evil. This is the masters of war. It's the puppet masters, being revealed, showing what it is. So, unfortunately, this is going to play out now until April. It's all about Iran. Is Iran going to? There's no way people can say that it's. There's no way anyone can say it's right what's going on in Israel right now. And anyone who can't hear the other person's point of view, like newscasters, they're all connected to that Zionist agenda, unfortunately. So they're being revealed, and their excuse is they want to destroy the state of Israel. And that's not actually the case at all. No, what it is that there's ethnic cleansing going on. And that's just the bottom line. So no one's a saint in this. War's a dirty business. It's an evil thing. But right now, it would seem that it's damaged collateral, really, right now. And how are they gonna do a two-state solution for the state of Israel when they've got no intention of doing that? Obviously Netanyahu's got to go. So how's that going to happen in the next 6 months before we get to this eclipse in April? So, it's really a case of what those Arab nations do right now, and it's a case of what happens with Iran. So we've got to send a prayer for peace for the region. We've got to pray that justice is served, that negotiation, the best situation plays out, because there are people who do want World War III. This is the puppet masters. This is the masters of war, and we're living in prophetic times. So ideally, what will happen is that there'll be a peaceful resolution. Like, for example, when I look at Egypt, what happened in 2011, whatever, it could have been bloodshed everywhere, and it didn't happen that way. Even though there was bloodshed, and now you could say it's a very authoritarian regime there. Certainly not easy to be an Egyptian, living in Egypt these days. And a lot of people don't agree with it, but we're dealing with the energy of World War III. There's no saints and sinners in that. It takes tough people. That's why someone like Trump gets so much popularity at times like this. He's seen as a strong leader. This is the problem, the cult of personality. This is how people like that get in power. At times like this. So it's a scary, fraught time, but we've got to be grateful. So the good news is that we're moving towards better times as we move towards this Sagittarius season, which can be fun, which can be enjoyable. However, on the flip side of that, because of this bifurcation, there could easily be religiosity, extremism, crazy thinking, apocalyptic, delusional thinking. There's a lot of potential for that, and that's why we've got to be discerning right now. We've got to forgive ourselves. Like, I've got to forgive myself if I'm not saying the right things here, and pray that I am. Pray that I'm trying to help people with critical thinking and objective thinking, because we're all puppets to a certain extent. We're all puppets to a certain extent in this game, sadly. We're all minions of ignorance, and I really would love to think that I'm not progressing more echo chambers of fear or ignorance, because that would be a shame. I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to create open-minded thinking. I think all we can do is be in the heart. If we're in the heart, we're present. If we're in the heart, we're grateful. If we're relaxed, we can see things from the other person's point of view. We might not have to agree with someone, but we can at least hear them. And that's the problem right now. There's too much extremism going on. You can't just think it's okay to bomb hospitals, despite your enemy being there. You've got to be sophisticated in the art of war. You've got to be able to go in there and do it in a way that you don't just kill loads of civilians, for example. That is the nature of this extremism that's being so obviously seen right now. And then when you defend that, sadly, it's a real problem, because again, you certainly can't see the other person's point of view, or you have complete disregard for the other person. And that's the danger, because it will create backlashes. It can create backlashes with all sorts of stuff, like this woke agenda. Everything, can suddenly get a huge backlash, and the integrity, the intention of it all probably isn't like that at all. But then that's what happens. It's divide and conquer. So look, all I want to say to you all is that you've got to really try and enjoy this Sagittarius season. Now, I have a personal bias. I'm a Sagittarius, but I love it. I love the Christmas. I love the lights. I love the food. I love the happiness, the celebration. I love the romanticism of the joy, the joie de vivre. There's so much of that coming right now. At the same time, certain people might not be feeling that. Certain people might be thinking, it's all over, and so we've got to have empathy for people like that. We've got to be kind. We've got to be supportive, but we don't have to be inundated if they are not understanding what's coming, the golden age. If they're not in thrive, they're in survive. If they've made choices and their information isn't serving you, then you've got to discern. Doesn't mean you have to be mean. It doesn't mean you have to be mean. You've got to be empathetic here. We've got to listen and be kind, especially at family time, seasonal time, celebration time. Again, these narratives are affecting everyone's psychology. These fear matrices, these apocalypse sort of like stuff. So how can we listen and help someone? Well, this is what happens, these family gatherings. We come together and, everyone's on certain quality control, certain levels of understanding, certain choices that they've made, certain health as well. That's the big one. If they've got the heavy metals in them and stuff like that, then they are completely sucked into these narratives right now. And at the end of the day, in a post-COVID world, people want to get together and be around people, because we were denied that. So obviously things are going to happen. It's going to be strange. And we've got to make the best of it, because when people are gone, they're gone. You don't see them again. So make the best of it, try and make the best of your time. But don't get inundated and, have a cut off. If you need to go for a walk, go for a walk. People don't understand astrology. They don't understand that we have stuff that we can see, potentially in the future. The arrogance or the problem with astrology is when people come inundated with the outcome, when there's so much magic in the unknown. There's so much potential to change the outcome. However, there are inevitabilities. This Jupiter-Uranus conjunction that's coming in April, the eclipses, it's a big deal, is April now. Obviously, Pluto into Aquarius is going to really, really shudder things. It's going to reveal a lot. And then we move to Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in April. We've got eclipses then too. So there is so much that's about to play out. We've got to be aware. Like if something happens in Iran, example in the stock market, whatever, we're going to see a 50% drop potentially, especially if any nukes come into it. So obviously, America or the deep state, whatever, they can't go in and take out Iran on the ground. That can't happen. So the key is that how do the masters of war, the puppet masters, how do they goad people into these things? This is what happens in these dirty tactics. And again, we don't know who's good guy or bad guy sometimes. It's a dangerous period of time. But people of the heart don't want war. People of the heart are not going to kill someone. In self-defense, yes, you do have to defend yourself. And everyone's got a reason for self-defense. But natural law or sovereignty will be revealed, those that are good or bad in a sense, because it'll always be a natural. So we've just got to try our best not to get caught in it, try our best to be in the heart, try our best to be at peace, try our best to see things from the other person's point of view, and better still, enjoy your life, and that's what Sagittarius is all about. We've got his full moon in Gemini, coming up as well, and because Mercury's squaring Neptune, with Sagittarius and then Pisces, it could be quite magical. I really hope it is for you, because that would be a great testimony of this bifurcation, that we're moving into much better times. But if it's paranoid and it's fear-based, then you need to really start taking action about what needs to be cleared. Whether it's psychological stuff, so therapy, whether it's emotional stuff, so again, therapy too can help with that. And we've got to, it's going to get more extreme in a lot of ways over these next 3 years. There's going to be more critical moments of change. When something is ending, it's going to do whatever it can to survive. If your time is up, what do? There's a motto that says, if I'm going down, you're all coming down with me. So there is that energy about over the next 3 years. But again, this is where we contribute. This is where people of the heart, people of the light, people who are of peace, we just do the best that we can. We manage our own fear. We manage our own trauma. We do what it takes to become at peace. And if that means going to bed early, if that means switching the phone off, if that means not seeing somebody, saying no to things, we've got to do that. We've got to protect ourselves right now during this critical moment. But we do have to contribute if we want to change the outcome. That might mean writing a prayer, writing a poem. It might mean lighting a candle. It could mean just going for a walk, getting some sunshine, taking a trip. I took a trip this weekend and it was wonderful. I feel a little bit sad that I'm in a hotel room right now, but it just took a bit longer to get home. But when I think about what I've just experienced, it was great. It costs money, it takes up your time, but I met people, and that's what you got to do. You've got to enjoy this celebratory time, with this Sagittarius energy. And yes, Scorpio is still quite relevant this week, and that's what I mean. The detective is at work. You might meet up with your family this week and you might think, I don't really get you anymore, At the same time, you might think, wow, you're getting old now. There's not much time left. You might look at your family and think, things need to change, and that's what the Scorpio energy could easily do, this week. But it will change. Like when we get to the weekend, it's so much more Sagittarius. Obviously, the sun is in Sagittarius and Mercury's there. So there's a balance going on. So again, we put our skills into practice here. We listen. We be kind. We be thoughtful. And then we've got to reassess after that. And then, with the Venus coming into Scorpio next month, because we're almost at the end of November now, that could be a bit of a critical experience in relationship. So we've got to be really careful. It could easily create more either in or out energy, So we've got to be mindful of that. This too shall pass. Venus into Scorpio can very much be like that. It could be all the way in, so deeper intimacy, magical experience with a partner. But it could be the other. It could be the opposite. It could be repugnant. That's got to be careful with that energy. It's extremely Scorpio, and that's the last bit of it. It's the last bit of it. So once we get to the new year, we're really moving into completely new energy, especially when we get into Aquarius season, when Pluto goes into Aquarius. It goes into Aquarius with the sun. It's like it's different. We're really coming out of these last couple of years. Basically, we're really coming out of it now. Really coming out of it. So all I will say is be mindful and trust the process. There is repugnant stuff going on right now. That's what this. Yeah, I know. I'm in the hotel. This is the problem, isn't it? I mean, my it's been choppy all this live, unfortunately, but luckily people are still here and enjoying it. And so anyway, look, I'm really pleased I managed to talk to you all today, because again, the challenges that we've been facing it all year, these challenges, and it really reminds me of some of the lives that I did at the start of this year when I made a commitment to do these lives, and the difficulty of doing them and the choppiness of everything that's been going on was just testament to that. And it was so funny because that was all happening when Mars was in Gemini with the retrograde, and look what's happening. It's the full moon in Gemini next week. So God willing, we're coming towards the end of what has been a very testing year that's made it very hard for light workers or people of peace to be seen. You know, it really has. But God willing, you know, if we're going to use the AI next year, we're going to use the stability of everything that we've forged over these last couple of years and all the difficulty that we've gone through as well. I mean, there's been a huge amount of, you could say, losses in time, in money and all sorts of stuff. All of that hopefully is at the end now, and we could really accelerate and we could help serve, create community. God willing, I get to see people, which I can't wait. It seems like that's going to happen now. And we could really get together, you know, eye to eye, you know, not on these screens. I can serve, you can serve, we can all get together as a community, and we can be the way to show the way. And I really pray for that. And it's about time. But you've got to be patient at times like this. You've got to be consistent, and you've got to not let the challenges and the difficulties of the world affect you to the point where you give up and you go, I don't want to do this anymore. Enough's enough. You've got to keep going, you know. And for example, stuff in the world right now, it is heinous, it is disgusting, and things are being revealed. And we've got to forgive, and yet we've got to be firm with the divine masculine as well. You know, we've got to be sovereign. You know, it's not just a case of saying that's acceptable if it's not. We don't have to become inundated with things, and we have to, you know, we have to lower ourselves to the other who are clearly in PTSD. You know, it's this hyper arousal thing. You know, it's really interesting that one of our Jewish friends told us about that. It was a really interesting perspective, and I wish I could remember what there was for. But anyway, looks like it's time to leave this live now, because I'm not getting any joy with this reception. But yeah, you know, just to say that it's like this hyper arousal thing, you know, it creates that fear. It's the lizard brain at work. You know, it's like if you are fear based, i.e. they're out to kill me, you know, they're out to get me, and we've got to do whatever it takes, then it's like being a child. You know, you see something that's scary and you stamp on it to the death, because it's like, I'm scared. You know, you can't think, oh, that thing's not coming to hurt me. That thing is something alien to me and I don't understand it. But I can sit with it and work out why it's there, and then I can maybe work with it. You know, that's the key to mastery, you know. But if you're in a fear-based, not the mammalian brain, not the logical, the more thoughtful, the more harmonious, you know, enlightened mind, but you're in this lizard brain, you know, the neocortex, I think it is, then what you'll do is, as a response to any threat, you'll kill it. You know, that's the nature of it. That's the nature. And if you believe that, I mean, you know, there's been heinous purges, there's been heinous death and atrocity that's existed in the world because of the ideology of it. You know, I believe that these people should be killed. It's just very, very ironic to think that, you know, when you think about the fate, that they would be acting like that. You know, it's kind of sad, but that's not to do with Jewish people. It's to do with Zionism. It's a very different thing. It's not what the majority of any common sense, grounded, in the heart, loving people would want. It's a political ideology, and that's the danger of this Sagittarius again. You know, what's coming now is going to be potentially extreme with ideology. So we've got to really be wise right now. Remember that this too shall pass. I think AGI could be an amazing thing. I think AGI could really, really expose it all. And then, you know, whoever's accountable should be held accountable. So many people during this COVID thing should be held accountable. You know, I mean, you see Matt Hancock in the UK now, some of the things that he said. Wow. I mean, there's an investigation going on right now about the government and how they reacted during COVID. They should be held accountable. you know? I mean, the double standards again. Same thing with Ukraine, you know. The reasons, the justifications for war, and that's why the Arab countries now go, well, hang on, you Western nations or whatever, and sadly it's mainly England and America, which is connected to the deep state. That doesn't necessarily mean it's all, obviously the majority of English and Americans think like that. It's political again, it's the politics of it. And those political elites, whatever, are having double standards right now. And you've got an election coming in 2024. Unless Trump doesn't get in, you know, he gets like a conviction or whatever, how is he not going to get in right now? You know, and what's going to happen then? So, you know, it's really, really a fraught time. And, you know, whether it's good or bad, you know, everyone is serving the process of this unfolding, i.e. moving into the new earth. We just shouldn't get caught in it. i.e. what I mean by that, we shouldn't become collateral damage as well, is what I'm saying. We should be healthy. That's the most important thing of all of it. So any toxin or any negativity, 'cause it's very easy to get seduced by this stuff, we have to discern. If that means switching it off, have to discern. Likewise, we've got to get healthy at this time. So we've got to eat well. We've got to be in love, i.e. be loving to others. That gives us love back. We've also got to, have a vision about what it is that we want. Because when we get to the other side of this, we're going to be in a great period of time, potentially. So we've got to be healthy, we've got to have a vision, and also we've got to work consistently to get to where we want to be. We've also got to have a plan B, because anything could happen. So all of these things that we are working towards means that we will survive. Not only that, we will thrive. And then when all the things is taken out, all these people are serving this agenda to the new earth, then obviously what would be a good use of time is learning about Web 3.0, learning about blockchain, you know, having assets, whatever, diversified commodities and stuff like that, just in case, you know, and also having an idea about where you want to be in the world or how you want to live, because the robots are coming and they are going to take out a lot of the jobs. So what is it that you want? You know, do you want to sail a boat? You know, do you want to write a book? Like, I'm really inspired right now to write a book with Gemini, with Jupiter going into Gemini next year. So these are the things that we need to be thinking about right now, you know, to survive, not only that, to thrive, but also to discern, not get caught up in the bullshit, not get taken out, because we are just plebs, sadly, in the masses of war. We are not anything. We are collateral damage. We just pay our taxes and we could be slaughtered like sheep. You know, we're not of any interest to the ruling elites, really. If we don't serve them, then, you know, if we're autonomous, individuated souls who have our own way of living, we have no benefit to them. But hopefully these puppet masters will be exposed over the next 3 years, and we move to a new earth and we contribute in a more harmonious. So we've got to be grateful. We've got to really, really remember that every day. Be grateful every single day, and I'll relax, be non-attached, because that's what Uranus and Taurus is all about. And my gosh, when Uranus goes into Gemini, everything's going to go it will go so accelerated. You know, everything, this new earth will become so accelerated at that time. So from now until then, we've got a chance to really get our shit together, and again, also be present, be grateful, be in the heart, trust that all of this is playing out how it should play out, and don't get caught in the cult of personality. You know, don't let them win. We kind of got to take sides to a certain extent, because, you know, we're all products of our conditioning. But at the same time, don't buy into the bullshit. You know, be discerning. These people are there to serve a purpose. These people are there to be exposed. These people are arrogant if they're not seeing things from the other person's point of view, or they are not in the path to peace. So let them be exposed, let them be played out. Try not to lose your health. Try not to lose your vitality because of it. What the world needs healthy, conscious people. Because when we're healthy, they can't mess with that. So one day at a time, slowly, enjoy Thanksgiving. Remember, every year counts. There's hopefully a lot of fun to be had. And those that are not having a good time, be empathetic. That's the best. Okay, well, this is not looking good for this live now. I've done the best that I can. I'm going to have to get going because it keeps cutting out. And all I want to say is I'm very grateful for you all for listening, and I really hope it's helping. And be the change the world wants to see. Stay healthy. Enjoy the celebration of Sagittarius. Try to be balanced, basically. The Buddhists talk about not grasping, non-attachment. These are good qualities, really, in this sort of time. Thank you. Love thy neighbour. These are again religious terminology here, and try your best to see things from the other person's point of view. Even if you're a neighbour, you don't, give them a gift. Give your neighbour a gift. Kill them with kindness. Call the person that you haven't spoken to for years that you have resentment towards, and you don't have to like them still, but you can send them love, or you can write them a letter and then burn it. It's a great way, to resolve a grievance with someone that you've never been able to solve that grievance with, and let it go and let God in, and from that moment there might be some resolution. There's going to be a lot that happens over the next 3 years. A lot. May 2026. Don't forget the date, okay? Have compassion for them. Have empathy. Don't let them take away your soul, though. Don't let them take away your sovereignty. Be firm, be in the divine masculine, but be kind. Just discerning that. Okay, happy Thanksgiving, everyone, and lots of love. God bless you, and we're going to have a lot of fun these next couple of years because we're going to do really good work, and we're going to have a lot of art and a lot of creativity and community. So we've got a lot to look forward to, what's coming over these next couple of years. And if it comes to it, we'll create a Garden of Eden, because that's what we're here to do. So let's do it, and have some great stories on the way. It'll be great at the campfire when we're all together chatting about it, that we made it, that we got through the other side, that we took risks, that, we learned a lot, we made a lot of mistakes too, and we can talk about it, and then we can create an amazing generation of souls who are coming into this new earth with Pluto and Aquarius, who will, go to space and beyond, basically. That's what this next generation will do. So everything exists to solve all the problems. We just need to get through the other. Let resistance and reaction take care of itself. Stay discerning. Stay out of the way of it. Don't get caught up in it. You can't ignore it, but you don't have to become ignorant. Discern. Be kind to yourself. Love yourself. And, do the best that you can. And that's all we can do. Be at peace. And with that said, have a great holiday and be your way to show the way. Peace.